It is me.
Mario.
It's me, Mario. Did you see the Pedro Pascal SNL Mario thing?
No.
That's fucking funny.
I listened to Pedro Pascal on Smartless.
He was on Smartless?
Yeah.
I bet that was a good one.
And he's charming as hell.
God, he's so charming.
Yeah.
You and Pedro Pascal kind of have a thing.
How do you mean? How do you know about that? Who told you?
I just knew. I could smell it on you.
What do you mean by that?
Like, you both are very, like...
Latin?
Yes. Extremely. Like, it's in your face. Latin. But also, like, could be something else.
Yeah.
But also, you both can, like, summon a solemnness about you and an extreme goofiness. It's pretty remarkable. And I find it extremely attractive.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Pedro, stay the hell away from my lady.
You hear me? Speaking of, hey, Ryan.
Hi.
Hi.
I wasn't drinking that time. Thank you.
You're welcome. I really did listen to our most recent episode
Yeah.
very recently. And of course, that's how it starts. And
Did you listen to the one before that? Because that's also how it started.
I do like doing that. I honestly just love hanging out with you. And sometimes when you're at work or I'm just like, man, I just wish we were hanging out, I'll just listen to our podcast.
Oh, really?
I will.
That's sweet.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not creepy, right? Yeah. Because it's our podcast, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Q&A kind of deal. Or QA. Quality assurance.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Totally. Yeah. That's what I'll say that it is.
No, I listen to our show too because I think it's funny.
It is funny.
Which is weird because like most of the time I think the things I say are stupid.
I just said
But I think when we talk about things, there's some good jokes in it.
Yeah, there's some solid shit. And stuff that surprises me every time because my memory is so bad that I'll be like, wouldn't it be funny if? And then it happens because that was what happened.
Yeah.
I actually do like referring this show to people who I know that I probably won't be able to make time for, like in a real friendship.
Like your family and stuff.
Exactly. I'm like, guys, I really wanted to tell you about something. Just listen to the episode.
Yeah.
Or honestly, just like folks that I think that are really cool, but that just like we cannot carve a place for each other in our lives.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But I'm
I know
like,
those people.
but you probably have dishes to wash, right? You should listen to this.
Yeah. Right.
And then the next time we see each other, we'll feel a little closer, and that'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, speaking of all of that, I do know the topic kind of tonight, right?
Yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up that way.
And that's because this is brought to us by superfan Paul.
Super fan. And super friend.
Super friend, super fan, just a super guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A super for coworker.
What?
A super fan and friend. So I needed an F, but I didn't have one in time. For coworker.
Yeah, so
he's a good guy.
He's been like a big supporter, big champion for the show. So he finally gets his topic recorded.
Why did he get a topic that he could pick?
Well,
Ryan?
because he's a goddamn contributor.
That's right.
And a champion.
He gave us money.
On the Patreon.
And for that, we thank him with this episode.
Yes.
Which is about...
He also gets like little sneak previews. I just text him stuff sometimes like, hey, this is what we're editing. Here's something you get to listen to that nobody else does.
That is a perk.
Yeah.
That's like Insider Edition, and you get a chat with the creator. It's like 2 perks in one.
Like if you become, okay, listeners, if you become as big a fan as Paul, I'll give you my phone number and we can text.
Your personal phone number?
Yeah.
Wait, and you'll text them?
Right.
Oh man. Wow. Listeners, you don't realize what a gift that truly is.
I hate texting.
Yeah, anyone,
Anybody.
including your lovely co-host.
Unless it's just a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah. I'll take
like
what I
that
can
one.
get. Yeah. Like, yes. Yum, yum, yum. So Paul, your episode today was one that I was really excited about. And it is Bigfoot / mythical creatures / urban legends / cryptids. Ba-dam.
Oh, you don't even know.
Yeah. Otherwise known as urban legends. And
So
critters therein.
yeah, so this is gonna like I don't really know too much about any of that stuff. Only that Bigfoot is really popular around here in the Pacific Northwest.
See, I think you're going to know more than you think you do.
Okay, so this is gonna cover kind of all of, and what was the word again? What's the word for like
Cryptids.
cryptids?
Yeah.
And that means like creatures that are made
Folklore.
up, right?
Yep. Or part of urban legends.
Like the Yeti,
Like the Yeti, like the Loch Ness Monster,
right?
like the Jersey Devil, and like the Mothman, many of which we're going to talk about today and use as examples for you.
Yeah, I was just telling people that the Jersey Devils, they're not a real hockey team.
They are
not.
a real hockey team.
They're not. I don't believe it.
They are.
No.
They are. And I researched
They're
it.
fake.
I researched it. I researched sports for you, Ryan.
Oh man. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. And I honestly didn't know I would have to do that until we started briefly talking about this. And then I went, fuck, I'm going to have to look at some sports stuff. And so I did.
Cool. I'm excited.
So cryptozoology is the study of cryptids, the study of like mythological urban legend type critters. And it's often like cousined with ufology, you know?
These ologies, are they like real or are they made up?
Well, so that's kind of the vibe, right? Is
Are
like
they made up like the creatures they are studying?
exactly. So or like ghost hunters, you know?
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Like they are studying things, but they're not using the scientific method, which involves like proving it.
Yeah.
So no, but yes, in that they are like studying them. But they're not using science in the sense that they're not finishing the method.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you got
But
it.
like you can't pick this as a major in college.
I was just going to say you can't major in
Okay.
college. I was literally just going to
Sorry.
fucking say that. No, that's beautiful. We're on exactly the same page 167 of cryptozoology, which you cannot take in college.
Man, they should put that at the front.
Yeah.
That should be page 1.
Yeah, they should. Of the book. By the way, you can't take this for credit. You cannot take this for credit. If you're taking this class, this isn't a real college. Drop out. Try to get your money back.
Yeah.
It's a pyramid scheme. Speaking of which, there's a job or a career you can have of a folklorist, which is very cool.
What that?
A folklorist what is someone who studies and collects folklore.
Just like they collect stories?
Stories and myths and legends
Collect like in their brain?
in their brain, and they document it, they record it. Think of the kind of people that go around to like Native American tribes and
Yeah.
record the oral traditions that they have, like the stories that they
Like an anthropologist.
Exactly. Yeah. But whereas an anthropologist would kind of collect information in general regarding the culture and stuff, folklorist is going to specifically be trying to capture information about the stories that were told.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool. Very fun job. And there's one folklorist. His name is Richard Dorson, and he has a 6-point criteria for establishing legendary creatures of American folklore, which is, I think, the coolest thing anyone's ever done. As a nerdy, curious person who doesn't believe in this shit and just thinks it's fun. So number 1, it has to exist in an oral tradition. People have to like talk about it for a long time.
Okay. What constitutes a long time?
Well, in the examples I'm going to give, not necessarily longer than 100 years.
Oh.
But just like for a generation or so, you know?
Okay.
They have to inspire belief and conviction. So people have to be like, I saw it by gummit, and they talk to the news, you know? It has to become personalized and institutionalized. So like people have to start like associating an area with it.
Okay.
Or institutionalized, like naming hockey teams after it.
Oh, like the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah. And shit. It has to be fanciful or mythical, so it can't just be like a raccoon. You know, that's not cool. And this one I think is really interesting. It has to have like a comical side, which ultimately sort of endears it to the American public.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Exactly. You're right fucking there.
Okay.
And for those of you under the age of 37, that's a Sasquatch joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Lithgow was in that movie.
Is he? Mm-hmm. Is he?
The dad.
Oh, he's
no,
the dad.
You thought he was Sasquatch?
You know, I don't know if I've actually seen that movie. I just know the reference.
Oh.
Yeah.
They turned it into a TV show, too, for a little bit.
Did they?
Yeah.
Still with Lithgow?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well,
He was too busy doing Cliffhanger. And then he was too busy doing Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, yeah. Third Rock from the Sun.
And then he was too busy doing Dexter.
That was great.
And then he was too busy doing... we can keep going.
I like this conversation. Third Rock from the Sun, real quick, was a show I felt like I wasn't allowed to watch. Even though no one told me I couldn't, it just felt like something I shouldn't be watching.
Why? It's
I don't
so
know.
good.
I was just a little kid when it was like on TV.
It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I could watch it now, considering how weird it is to watch the pace of those kinds of shows now.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
They're paced weird.
My only gripe with that show is that Jane Curtin doesn't get to be as funny as she is.
Is she another one of the Aryans?
Oh, no, she's one of the humans. So John Lithgow's character, they end up dating in the show. But he's a teacher, he's a college professor, and she's another college professor. And so they have like this rivalry.
Oh, so it's like smart and romantic.
Right.
That's cute.
But she's very funny, and she plays a little bit more of like a wet blanket in the show. She has her funny moments, but fuck. That one actor who played Willow on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And she was also on How I Met Your Mother. Oh,
know what I'm talking about?
Is it Michelle something?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, can we do a quick correction? By the
Sure,
way?
yeah.
Because when I was editing the last episode, Weather Modification,
Yeah.
I said that my dad had a crush on
The weather lady.
I said the weather lady. The name I said was Michelle Buckman, I think.
Yep.
Michelle Buckman was actually a politician.
Oh.
So I looked it up, and I've already forgotten her fucking name. But her last name is Buckman.
But it's not Michelle.
It's not Michelle. It's like Monica or something like that.
Melissa. Yeah, something like that.
So anyway,
So that was like a semi-correction.
I was wrong, everybody. But her last name was Buckman, though.
Okay, but Michelle had nothing to do with this.
No. I think Michelle Buckman ran for like governor or maybe vice president or something.
Okay,
like
I
that.
could be totally wrong here, but this was in California, right? Mm-hmm. I think my parents volunteered for her.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I had to like help out in her phone bank when I was like 9.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. Not, I don't want to get like political or anything, but I think she's a Republican.
I feel like it's something no one talked about afterwards.
Because they didn't know that they were doing that?
Maybe?
Because, like, your mom's a very liberal woman, right?
Extremely. And my dad's a mildly liberal man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they were volunteering on her phone bank or like held some sort of event. I have a memory of this. That name is very familiar.
Yeah, that's why. Because she was in the zeitgeist for a little bit.
Yeah, you corrected yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, why the fuck are we talking about this?
Yeah. So they have to be, there's a comedy element or something like that has to be.
Exactly. Which endears
Does it have to
the
be
American
a
public.
comedy specifically, or does it have just be lighthearted and endearing?
So like someone has had to have found a way to make it funny.
Okay.
You could almost think of it like the, oh shit. In Harry Potter, when they have the thing that's in the cabinet and when it comes out at you, it like shows you the thing that you're afraid of.
Oh,
And the only way to get rid of it is by turning it into something funny.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that called? Oh, God. What a crazy feeling to have it.
Bogart?
Yes. I want to know what the word is for that physical sensation. Both the mental strain at having something be so close
Yeah.
to your ability to vocalize it. And the feeling for that sweet, sweet climactic release.
Braingasm.
Braingasm.
Yeah.
What about this one? Brain balls? Blue brain?
Blue brain.
Brain balls. Gross. Ugh. No. That guy's got brain balls. They're wrinkly. Yeah, like a boggart in Harry Potter. It has to have like, you have to be able to like make it funny.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Jersey Devil. The fucking Jersey Devil.
All right. We're
Hey,
talking
Jersey.
sports.
I want to talk sports with you. The hockey team. You know the hockey team, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they changed the name to the hockey team, the Jersey Devil. And when they did that, everyone was like, why? Why the Jersey Devils? And they were, everyone has the satanic panic and all that. It was the 80s, right? That's right. When they changed it to the Devils. So
I don't even know that. What were they called before that?
It was like, the Spitfires or something like that.
Are you going to do this for the whole segment?
Just for the part with the Jersey Devils. Yeah, it turns out it has nothing to do with devils. It's
Like-
the Jersey Devil, the cryptid. That is what it's referencing.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And folks, look up the Jersey Devil so you have a visualization, because
Should we link the show note?
most definitely, it will be in the show notes, because I didn't necessarily know what this thing looked like, but I had heard of it before.
So
and
it does not look like a devil.
it's pretty gross. Do you see?
Oh, yeah. Okay, you showed me this before.
Yeah.
So it's like a goat head with a giraffe neck and bat wings on ostrich legs?
Yeah, like reptile kind of legs. And then it's got like a forked tail, right? And then its front legs, it's kind of hard to tell, but its front legs have hooves.
Oh, I didn't even see the front legs.
Yeah,
I
they're
just
kinda-
thought it was wings.
It's also got the wings, yeah.
So why is it from New Jersey?
So there was an urban legend that there was this woman named Mrs. Leeds, and she had a shit ton of kids. I'm talking like 12 kids. And then she got pregnant with her 13th kid. 13th is an unlucky number, right? And so she was like, fuck this kid. This is not going to be a
Wow.
good kid.
Yeah.
And it came out like a normal baby, but then it like quickly turned into that thing.
Oh, that was a human thing?
Right.
And then it turned into that?
Right. That's how the legend goes. And then it ran off into the woods, and ever since has been terrorizing the people of New Jersey,
Oh.
because that's kind of where it was. But would it surprise you to know that the actual origin is super petty?
Oh, can't wait.
and so American. Okay, it's the 1700s, right?
Yeah.
You're Benjamin Franklin,
Right.
and you're living in like the Jersey-ish area
Okay. He's not from Philadelphia?
and Boston. He's just like out
He's
and
just
about.
bouncing around.
He's bouncing around.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got hoes in different area codes.
Uh-huh. He's spreading electricity.
There's an episode, Benjamin Franklin. Fuck.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm getting you don't even know excited about Benjamin Franklin. I haven't even done all the research yet. So here's a prelude to that, right? This is so petty. So Benjamin Franklin, he loves writing pamphlets, right?
Yeah.
He's famous for writing the Poor Richard's Almanac. Have you
Right.
heard of that?
Yeah. I've seen National Treasure many times.
I have not seen National Treasure any times.
It's a great movie.
Is it in that?
It's Nicolas Cage's best movie.
Better than the
Better than
Unbearable?
all of them. That
Better
is his
than-
best movie.
Better than
Better than Con Air.
better than Adaptation?
Better than Gone in 60 Seconds. Better than Matchstick Men.
Oh yeah, Matchstick Man. Yeah. So, Poor Richard's Almanac, right? Like, what a weird and funny concept, but it was this way to get information to the masses about the moon cycles so that farmers could plant stuff, and it had weather predictions in it, weather modification throwback.
Yeah.
And it was just fucking Benjamin Franklin just referencing some graphs, maybe, sometimes, but also just throwing in like weird little quips and jokes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was just this little like pamphlet that people could buy, and it would come out and they'd buy it. And it would have all his weird little jokes and stuff. And the Poor Richard guy was like a persona that he had that he would write in the style of.
Right.
Be like, I'm Poor Richard. This is what he predicts for the year. It was super weird. But it's people love that shit because like, how did you get information otherwise? And Benjamin Franklin was like this like character. And the majority of people in that area were Quakers. Throw back to Earlham College, my almost alma mater. And the Quakers there were super judgy. And there was this guy named Daniel Leeds who was also super into making pamphlets. They were like zine boys. Colonial zine boys. And Daniel was a motherfucking Quaker as well. But his pamphlet started having some witchy shit in it. Like he would put astrology in there, not just talking about the moon, but about Gemini.
Oh.
And he started getting into like demonology stuff, and he would put like weird like natural magic things in there, and people were like, Daniel, you can't be talking about this stuff. And they started to ostracize him from the Quaker community.
Because they don't put up with that shit.
They don't put up with that shit. They hang people for that shit. They burn them and stuff. Not the Quakers necessarily, but they didn't like it. So he's like, hell no, I'm going to keep making my weird stuff. And almanacs, like Leeds and Franklin's, were often satirical. Like they were like making fun of each other, which was pretty weird. Like they would have like inside jokes amongst the episodes or the issues that they would release. So like Benjamin Franklin's 1762 almanac would be like, hey, Leeds' 1761 almanac was bullshit. You know what I mean?
They would
They would dig at each other.
what's that thing that they do? Diss track. Like
Yeah.
rappers.
Exactly like that. I'm so glad that you're following along with me because this is so petty. All right.
Yeah, that seems stupid now.
So
too.
stupid.
Yeah.
So Benjamin Franklin, in one of his almanacs, predicted that Daniel Leeds' son, whose name was Titan,
Cool.
super cool, that his son, who was also into making almanacs, would die on October such and such date.
Oh, wow.
And the son, Titan, was like, no, I won't. I'm going to die on this date.
Got him.
Right? which I'm sure Benjamin Franklin enjoyed immensely. And then when he didn't die on either of those dates, Benjamin Franklin went, well, he's a ghost, and the guy that's Titan now is clearly an imposter. And so he just made a joke about that for the next like some odd years.
Whoa.
Saying like, this guy's actually dead. He died on the day I said he would, and this guy's an imposter, and Titan's a ghost now. He's just a ghost dude. And he would talk about Titan's ghost, like in his little pamphlets and stuff. And thousands of people would buy this pamphlet, like.
Would they believe it?
Well,
or do they know it was like.
They're just colonial townspeople, and so
Right.
just at first it becomes just like thing that people say, like, oh, it's the Leeds ghost,
I've heard that term before. Fuck, that's what it's from, obviously. Okay.
Or the Leeds devil.
Yeah.
And so then they'd say, oh, the Leeds devil did it, So
Yeah.
this bridge collapsed one year and like dozens of people died and the bridge collapsed and they were like, it was the Leeds devil. It was that guy. And it didn't help that the Leeds family were known for this like witchy stuff.
Sure.
And on top of that, their family crest was a wyvern, which is this bipedal dragon-like creature with a forked tail and leathery old wings. And they put their crest on their pamphlets.
Yeah. Okay.
And eventually, before you know it, you have these, rumors that X and such experiences the devil and it's the Leeds devil. And the Leeds people owned property in this area of Jersey called Pine Barrens, which is where everybody goes to die. It's just this expanse of pines that to this day are untouched because they're this weirdly like sandy soil that nothing grows in but these pines.
Oh, so they're just like, what's the point? Just
What's
leave
the
it?
point? Exactly. And so like throughout these decades, now centuries of colonialism, everybody's been like, fuck that place, except
Yeah.
for this family who has this property there. And so that became the place where the Leeds or the Jersey Devil lives.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. I like that shit.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. It's like, it's also wild that when you break it down step by step, it seems like hard to get from step 1 all the way to step 17. But like when you follow it all the way through, it starts to evolve into this wild.
This big ball of scandal, so steamy that it
Yeah.
becomes this monster of a legend. And here's my favorite part. Do you remember the original urban legend from the beginning of this thing? Where it was like Mrs. Leeds
Yeah.
and she has her 12
Yeah.
kids. So Daniel Leeds' second wife, maybe third wife? Yeah, third wife. She has 9 children. Which is a shit ton of kids, even
Yeah.
for that time. So that added to there was a Mrs.
okay.
Leeds that had so many kids and there were demons involved. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So that's that part of the story. And then adding to the darkness factor, Leeds' second wife, so the third wife was the one that had 9 kids. The second wife died in childbirth with his first child. So there was like spookiness there.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So all of that combines into this thing, which eventually people in like 1909, so now like almost 200 years later, say that they see it. There's like hundreds of sightings. And they call the police and they're like, I've seen the Jersey Devil. Oh my God. And they're calling in. They're like, that's crazy. The Camden police supposedly shoot at it. And it's like, doesn't respond to the rifle fire. It attacks a trolley car. Some schools in the area close like it's a snow day out of fear of the Jersey Devil.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so
then they named the hockey team after
and then they
it.
named the hockey team after it. Exactly. Yeah. So now it has officially hit all of the criteria. Oh, and with the funny thing, there have been video games now made about it, but they're funny ones.
Oh, well, and the mascot for the team is like
Is comical.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now it has hit all the criteria.
crazy.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I just thought that they named it the Devils after like
A
Satan.
little devil. Like a little devil guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but no.
Wow, this
Yeah.
is pretty cool. So I know that those kinds of things like cryptozoology is not unique to the United States, but like, is there something about I guess, certain aspects of culture that breed those kinds of stories more than others?
Totally. Like the Sasquatch one is the perfect example of that. There's what I like to call, after researching this for 3 days, the Squatch verse.
It's hot.
Yeah. Is it hotter, the name on its own, or that I have come up with that name?
Well, I think if I heard anybody else say that name, it wouldn't be hot.
No. Squatch verse.
When you do in that voice, not hot.
Yeah, there are lots of Squatches. There's in the United States alone, there's like dozens of different kinds just in the different areas of the country.
There's different kinds of this fake animal.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the Pacific Northwest, right, it's Sasquatch. And that's because in like lower British Columbia, like Canada, Vancouver area.
Yeah.
I didn't know where British Columbia was until I moved here, totally honest with you. And then I was like, oh, that's the Vancouver one. They tell stories about what they called the Saskets. And that's where the word Sasquatch comes from.
Okay.
But tons of cultures have some sort of big, hairy humanoid legend.
Oh.
Tons of them all over the place. There's like the Yeti, of course.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But in like South America, in Asia, there's all kinds of ones. In the US, in Ohio, there's the grass man. In Florida, there's the skunk ape. In Missouri, there's one called Momo, which sounds adorable. In Virginia, it's the wood booger.
Do they all look
Yeah,
very similar to each other?
pretty much. And what's wild about it is you can see like glyphs, like ancient art on rocks and stuff of Squatch type guys that all look very consistent. They're just like big and tall and hairy. They have like big hands or big feet, and they're like lumbering around.
Right.
They're lumbering. They're here to lumber, And sometimes they're defined by the things that they do, which can be very different, which like the skunk ape, for example, just smells really bad. That's what he does.
That's his claim to fame.
He smells.
He's stinky.
He's a stinky boy. But for the most part, the like descriptions of what they sound like are very different, and what they like how aggressive they are, or like whether they'll seek out people or not, like if they're afraid of people, are very different. All of which leads most scientists to believe that there's no such thing as a Squatch in any description, and that for the most part people are mistaking them for bears.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because bears will walk upright on
Sure, yeah.
2 feet, and depending on the kind of bear, like if it's a black bear or grizzly bear, like they can get 7 to 9 feet, just fucking huge.
And they stink.
And they smelly. And some animals sound fucking wild.
Yeah.
Insert sound of a mountain lion.
Oh, and your cat even.
Yeah.
She does the weirdest little sounds.
Insert Joan sound.
Like, I've never had a cat before, but I kind of could assume what they generally sound like. She sounds like nothing I've ever heard.
What she sound like?
She just like does these like weird little groans and squeaks. It's
just
bizarre.
Her groans for me. I like the groans.
So is there I had a question. It was about specifically like for our area, was there anything in particular that kind of prompted the legend of the Sasquatch?
Yeah, so like there's been stages of hoaxes and misidentifications that have like led to little resurgence moments in popularity. That combined with areas like geographical areas that people have like defined as tourist attractions for Bigfoot or Sasquatch have made it sort of enduring. So like there have been these moments in history where like people have cited Sasquatch. And so like there's that picture, right?
Yeah.
Of like the, you know, the classical sideways, like, "Meow."
Yeah.
And there was another one where there were some, I believe they were like loggers, like timber loggers. There was a logging company that was out there and it was super muddy and they found some big old tracks and they were like, what the fuck are these? And then some other loggers were like, I don't want to talk about it, but I actually saw some of those also, like over here. And then all the loggers were like, yeah, man, I definitely did. And they saw more tracks and then they were like, what the fuck is this? So that led to a resurgence. But then later in like the 80s, that was like in the 40s or something, or the 60s. And then in the 80s, these guys were like, yeah, no, our family has been like making these giant wooden feet to like fuck with people. That was totally us.
There's some people that just cop to it. They
Yeah.
were like, yeah, we were messing with it.
We were totally messing with people.
Damn.
That's been like our thing, you know.
That's messed up.
Look at these feet. Yeah, isn't
And
that
funny.
crazy? But there's been like stuff like that. That's like made it so people are like, oh yeah, Bigfoot. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Combined with these local legends. And some of these like anthropological pieces of quote unquote evidence are like 1,000 years old, you know? So that oral tradition is strong.
Yeah.
And it's only through like culture, like modern culture, that this stuff it goes into that last cycle of being like funny and institutionalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, well, for myself, is Sasquatch and Bigfoot are the same.
Yeah. Yes and no. It's like a square rectangle thing, right? Like Bigfoot, you could almost think of as being like the master term of like a big, hairy, like humanoid thing.
Oh,
but
okay.
Sasquatch is specifically like the Pacific Northwest guy.
Got it.
You
so
know?
Momo is a Bigfoot.
Momo is a Bigfoot.
What was the other one? Wood Booger? Is a Bigfoot.
I love that sentence. Wood Booger is a Bigfoot.
That sounds like a line in
It
some
does.
sort of southern rock band song.
A Kansas song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Leonard Skinner.
Definitely.
Wood Booger is a Bigfoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like you said the category.
Yeah.
And then there's all these little subgroups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Subfoots, if you will. Subfeet. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, it's probably bears and it's probably like possums high up in trees, like higher than people would expect eyes to be, but they see eyes reflected with eye shine, you know? And then they're like, fucking Bigfoot. And then they hear a mountain lion and they're like, that's not right.
Yeah, sure.
Mountain lions sound insane. They sound awful. Have you heard what mountain lion cries sound like?
No.
I'll play it for you later. It's bad.
Really?
Yeah. I almost feel like I should pause right now and like play some for you. So you know what I'm talking about. And it makes sense that people would get spooked by that because it sounds crazy. Mountain lion scream. Here we go. I just typed in mountain and then it was like 6.4 million views. Here we go.
Good Lord.
I don't know about you, but the caveman in me is terrified right now.
That's fucking terrifying.
It's so scary, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're totally safe in this little room. That was filmed 7 years ago. And I'm scared of that mountain lion.
That sounds like somebody being murdered.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people say it
But
sounds
not
like
in a nice way.
No, it sounds like a woman screaming, being
Yeah,
murdered. A lot of
yeah.
people say that. Yeah. Very scary.
That's fucking terrifying.
Very, very scary. And so imagine being in Oregon and it's twilight and you see eyes shining a little higher than they should be and you hear that. You know,
Yeah.
that's just the fucking woods, man. But people want it to be exciting. And what I love is folklorists and scientists that debunk this stuff use the term wishful thinking to talk about why urban legends like these have such endurance. And I just think that's so sweet and sad. It's just people want things to be more unexplainable than they are.
Yeah.
And so it's this wishful thinking thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is very sweet. Because
Isn't it?
it's like, I don't know, maybe the truth is just too boring,
Too easy.
too easy.
Yeah.
I feel that way because we talked about this in the last episode about, no, maybe it wasn't the last episode, but like the alien thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
that truth is too hard.
but like it's the same kind of feeling where there's no way that this is it.
Yeah.
Like this is our reality. There's
Yeah.
nothing left. So it's kind of cool to think that there could be something that we don't know about yet. Like some weird creature. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I was just thinking that's like the closest to spiritual I think I'll ever be is thinking that there's intelligent life
Yeah.
outside of this planet. And because it is coming from a place of there's got to be something other than
Right.
us.
So
Yeah.
the I guess the more realistic example I can think of is there is film that is out right now is a recording that was made of like the deepest part of the ocean on the planet, and they saw like sea life that nobody has ever seen.
Oh, they
before.
do every time. It's great.
Yeah, and that it's kind of the same thing where like we had no idea that those things even existed,
Yeah.
or what they look like, and now we do, and that's kind of cool to think about that there's still shit that we've not ever seen on our planet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just tools, right? Like, that's what I love about humanity is we have been so curious that we've created tools to overcome our curiosity.
Yeah,
And we never stop making more tools to overcome that curiosity. And we like stop being human when we stop being curious because
Yeah.
then we stop making tools and then we just become critters again.
right. Yeah,
Fed by our desires. And yeah, like finding those deep sea new critters, that's just a product of creating fancier tools to get down there, you know?
Yeah.
And finding extraterrestrial life is going to be the same thing. It's just new tools.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think all of that when I think of it in those terms, it can be as like I was making fun earlier, but I can understand why somebody might be interested in cryptozoology.
Uh-huh. Ghost hunters, anyone?
Yeah.
With their tools?
But also like like what you're doing, the history behind it is
Yeah.
also really neat
It is.
too. That's probably something that they don't really look at because it just disproves everything that they're interested in.
Right.
But I also like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think that part is very fun. And I guess that's the difference between me or us and someone who believes this stuff is that like it's enough to know the story behind it. Like it doesn't have to be bigger than that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be crazier than that for me.
Right.
And like I don't know that we've talked about this before, but that's kind of like science and religion in general for me. Like it's cool enough to know how it works.
Yeah.
Like, that's magical enough for me.
Yeah. Are there any other like mythical creatures that I are in the United States?
Oh, there was one I wanted to tell you about that I
Or
also
that-
thought had a really quick but cool background. In 1966, there were, I think this is such a great newspaper headline. This was in the 1966 November issue of the Point Pleasant Register in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Point Pleasant, West Virginia, okay? In 1966. The title was Couples see man-sized bird, ... creature, ... something. Couples see a man-sized bird, creature, something.
Man, it must have been so easy to be an editor back then.
So fucking easy. Bigger, blacker, and bolder.
You're just like half in the bag by noon. They're just like, nah, we'll put anything in there. They'll read it.
Print it.
What else are they going to read in Point Pleasant?
They won't read anything.
Yeah.
So sure enough, they were reading this this article. There was this pair of couples. Is that right? There's 4 people total. Pair of couples.
Yes. Because a couple is 2.
Yep. As we've concluded in math time with Ryan. Just for explanation, I didn't know that. I thought a couple was like a handful. And a few was like a little handful.
No. Couple is 2, a few is 3.
And 4 is 4.
Exactly. Once you get past that,
It's
it's just the number.
It's just the number. So there was a pair of couples. They were up in like some Lover's Lane shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's 60s. And then all of a sudden they see this giant fucking screeching flying thing with red eyes just fly over their cars. And they freak the fuck out and their dates are screaming and now they're not going to get to their base, man.
Damn.
And they squeal tires back into town and the thing chases them into town and they're horrified. And then later, some firefighters are like, oh yeah, I saw that big ass bird thing too. It was fucking terrifying. And it was like 7 feet tall. And it looked like a really skinny person with red eyes. And I was very scared. And from then on, it was known as the Mothman.
What?
Yep, they called it the Mothman, and it was the Point Pleasant, West Virginia's and surrounding areas urban legend type monster critter upon which many dire and dastardly things were blamed upon, to the point where now they have a festival. There's an annual festival in Point Pleasant. After the people of the area were trying to think of creative ways for people to visit. Ultimately, scientists determined that it was probably a sandhill crane, which is a type of North American crane, heron type bird.
Yeah, and those are like skinny bodied birds.
Skinny body, and they
big, right?
they get to like 7 feet, and they have like a 10-foot wingspan.
Okay.
And when their heads face to you, their bird beaks, they disappear, right?
Sure,
Because of
yeah.
perspective. And then
Yeah.
they have these big red patches around their eyes.
Right.
So it just looks like a skinny fucking giant person, which is exactly what was described.
Yeah.
And that's almost certainly what it was. But you won't stop people from going to that festival.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you got to think about those people, like their
Bird brains.
well, I was gonna say their blood wasn't all in their brains in that moment.
It was in their little,
You know what I mean?
Their little bird peckers.
Yeah.
Is what it was. They also can be given some grace because sandhill cranes are not native to that area, but it is like not necessarily uncommon for birds to like migrate whoopsies into different areas like that. And cranes and herons and stuff have ended up there before and confused people because they're not from there.
Sure.
So it would be like the fucking peacock that's in our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
I mean, you're just like, you don't belong here, little guy. You know, it would stand out to you.
Yeah.
If you'd never heard of a peacock in your life, you'd be like, there was
the
a
fuck?
mythical creature.
Yeah.
Because it does look like a mythical creature.
With like hundreds of eyes
Yeah.
staring at you.
If its tail was all fanned out and you'd never heard of a peacock before,
Yeah.
and you saw it just walking down the street like it does here, what would you think, you know?
Yeah.
And you're trying to get some in your Chevy?
Are those cranes like aggressive?
Well, I mean, they're a bird. They're like a dinosaur, you know?
So, yes.
So yeah, they'll fuck with people. I mean, it's not impossible to think that it might have then swooped around in its confusion and like flew around some cars and stuff, you know?
Okay.
But people will see what they want to see and certainly
Yeah.
elaborate a story to make it
Sure.
feel more dramatic. Yeah. But I thought that one was fun.
Yeah, that is fun. Speaking of the peacocks, though, when I told our mutual acquaintance John where we were moving,
Yeah.
he was like, "Have you seen the peacocks yet?" And I thought he was messing with me. I was like, "Get the fuck out! What are you talking about?"
Do you think it was a euphemism?
Kind of, but I just like it felt like a joke that I was not in on.
Right, totally.
And then he just looked at me very straight faced and was like, "No, there are peacocks in the neighborhood." And fucking sure enough, they're everywhere.
They are.
It's
They
crazy.
are.
There's a lot of them too.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
And I like hearing the sounds of them. And makes me feel like I'm that girl in the film A Little Princess.
What's that one?
Did you not see that one?
I don't know.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know.
It was about a girl who like grew up in India for a little while. And then, and her dad was like an attaché, like a British attaché to India. And it was in the before times, you know? And she ended up in an orphanage and she had to come up with like magical ways to escape the terribleness of being in the orphanage.
Oh.
It was fucking amazing. All
Okay.
right. Yeah.
All right.
It was really good.
I don't
And
think I know that one.
In her daydreams, she would like hear the sounds of peacocks and stuff because they were in India.
Is it live action?
Yeah. I think it had Ray Fiennes in it as her dad.
It's Ralph.
And it's Joseph. A little
Cool.
princess. Yeah. Cut that part out. But yeah, I love hearing the sound of them. It's a
Yeah.
magical sound.
All right. Anything else?
Just, I think just wrapping it up with that wishful thinking thing, like it's okay to let people believe their weird stuff if it means that it brings them a little bit of local character and charm that brings people together. Like,
Yeah.
that's cute. When does it go overboard?
Right.
Is the
Well, I
real
was just going to
question.
say, let's pump the brakes when it starts interfering with like actual science, though. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
Like at what point the Discovery Channel became mostly that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
That was
or like the
disappointing.
History Channel.
Oh, don't get me started on the History Channel.
Like that's sad.
Very sad.
Don't
Very
call it
sad.
that anymore.
No. The Urban History Channel.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It really is. And it's unfortunate because I remember like little slivers of time where watching TV was very educational.
Yeah.
And yeah, that stuff is fun, but sort of like astrology, like you don't need to let that fun stuff guide your real life.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered one of the examples that I wanted to put to you and see what you thought, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Like manatees. Do you remember hearing about like sailors way back when they would see a manatee because they'd never seen one before? They thought they were mermaids.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
That is like wild because we all know what a manatee looks like now. How the hell that gets confused with like a half person, half fish.
I think a lot of that stuff, like this eyewitness stuff, and maybe part of this too is from like being really into true crime stuff for a little while. Like when people talk about things that they've seen, they usually want to be believed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
And so they're going to say things that they feel like will lead to them being believed. And even if they weren't necessarily what they experienced. And at some point, that like determination becomes like a conviction that they believe in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put like a woo spin on what you just said.
Give it to me.
What I feel like is part of that is that they felt a certain way when they saw it, and so they're going to say things in a way that will help validate their feelings
Sure.
about what they saw. You know, because it's not a nice feeling when you say, I saw something, but you say it in a way that shows how you felt about seeing that thing, and then somebody else telling you, no, you're wrong, or you're stupid, or whatever the negative reaction to that is. So it's like maybe a subconscious thing where they're like,
Protecting themselves.
yeah, protecting their vulnerability a little bit in
Totally.
that, so that they'll then say something to make it, I don't know, maybe taking it off of them and their feelings a little bit more by. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I'm thinking now that like no one wants to be a fool, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to be thought of as a fool, and part of being a fool is not understanding how things work. It's being confused.
Yeah.
And when you see something that you don't understand, you're confused.
Right.
So when you're explaining that to someone, it's a lot easier to say that you saw something that you didn't understand and it was inexplicable by nature,
Yeah.
you know? As opposed to like, could have been a bear.
Right.
Be
Yeah.
like, no, it was definitely not of this world. And that's why I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I, a perfectly intelligent, rational person, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong.
Yep.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so human.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, I don't know. It just, breaking it down just in that conversation actually kind of helped me a little bit more understand some of that stuff.
Yeah. And have a little bit of softness for the people that are convinced of what they saw.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's really interesting. I liked when we went and saw Loch Ness.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat. Mm-hmm. Having
in real life.
Yeah.
In Scotland.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool shit. I am into it.
Lucky to be on this magical planet.
Yeah.
It's got plenty of magic.
Yep. Cool.
Now you know.
Well, thanks, kid.
Yeah, you're
That was
welcome.
a good one. And it's not a bummer. So
I was
thank
going to
you.
say it. How do you feel? Do you feel good?
Yeah, especially the way we ended that. I like that.
Sick. And I hope you feel good too, listener. You deserve it.
And thank you, Paul, for the really good topic. Appreciate it.
You could pick a good topic too, listener, if you give us some money.
Yeah. You cheap bastards.
Not that this is an escort service or anything and you have to pay for our time, but you could if you wanted to. Yeah. And I love you anyway. And I'm proud of you.
All right. Well, thanks again, kid.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.